Hello, Jan Garcia's son, and she's back.
Hello everyone, I am bringing to you a video on how to make a super easy recipe for cold processed soap. This is easy, it's inexpensive, and you can whip it up in no time. So subscribe to my videos because there's more coming on candle making, cup making, pen making, sauerkraut making, more soap making, liquid soap making. I have lots of exciting things to bring you. Bye. So to make this soap, I went to Soap Calculator and they figured out my recipe for me. So I know that I'm gonna be using 32 ounces of lard. So 1 pound is 16 ounces and 2 pounds is 32 ounces. So this is my oil for my soap because soap is a combination of lye and oil and water, and that makes soap. So this is my oil. I'm also going to use 4.29 ounces of lye. I'm going to use 12.16 ounces of water. And the fragrance that I like to use, pretty neutral fragrance, is called Energy from Brambleberry. And this will not discolor the soap, but we're not gonna color it anyway. It will probably be white, but this doesn't have any vanilla in it, which would make your soap a brownish color. Okay, so without further ado, I'm also gonna use 4 tablespoons of cane sugar in my soap, and that will add bubbliness to the soap. Because there's not going to be a lot of bubbliness with just using lard to make your soap. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean out my supplies. I'm going to just get these out of the way. I'm going to clean out my bowl with some rubbing alcohol. I have some rubbing alcohol and a spray bottle, and I like to clean it out. This bowl I only use for soap making. I have another bowl that I use only for candle making, because you should not mix the two, just in case you don't get everything out. So my bowl is ready. I'm gonna set it aside. This is my measuring cup. This is what I mix my lye in. And I'm just gonna clean this out as well with my rubbing alcohol real fast. In my cup that I put my lye in. So I've prepared my dollar store container. It's an organizer basket. It cost a whole $1 from the Dollar Tree, and it's just a nice plastic. It's a nice shape for your soaps to be. I think it's probably about 3 inches by 3 inches. And what I did is I took some press and seal, and I put it and molded it into the organizer. So the sticky part of the press and seal is holding it to the basket. So this is what we're gonna put our soap in, okay? I'm gonna put that aside. Okay, I have my gloves, I have my goggles. Okay, so we're gonna measure the water. You have to have a scale to make soap. So we're gonna zero it, and I'm gonna add in here 12.16. Really 12 ounces would be sufficient. 12 ounces of water. It doesn't have to be the 0.16, I have 12.13. So I have 12 ounces of water in here. So I'm gonna set that aside, and now I'm going to measure my lye, and I'm gonna measure that in this cup. I'm gonna zero it, okay? Here is my lye I ordered from eBay, and I'm gonna measure in here 4.29 ounces, or just 4 ounces. Now I have to be careful when I pour my lye because it does give off this like powder into the air, and you don't wanna breathe that in. So you just pour slow, and I'm at 3. And this big clump that's trying to come out. 3.6. Just bash this down there. There we go, 4.25, and the recipe calls for 4.29. We are close. I always tell my kids when I'm making soap, do not come in the kitchen because I will lose my focus, I'll lose my concentration, and I'll forget what I'm doing. So now I'm gonna add the lye slowly to the water. Oh, look what I was gifted. Take that out of there. Throw it in the trash. Before I start stirring this, I immediately rinse out my cup. And I put it upside down on a paper towel just to have it out of the way. Now I'm gonna slowly stir this until it's dissolved. It kind of is stinky. You can see there's some fumes coming off. Usually I do this underneath my vent on my stove. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just doing it right here. Now this will get really, really hot and this will burn you. So you want to be very careful. I'm gonna set it aside and I'm gonna pour into it my 4 tablespoons of sugar. That way it can dissolve. So I'm gonna let that continue to dissolve. I'm gonna set it over here. I'm gonna get my oil ready. So I'm just gonna open up these lard, super inexpensive from the grocery store. It's very soft. I'm not going to melt it. I'm just gonna open it and I'm going to pour in the hot lye. So there's my 32 ounces of oil, which is in this case my lard. I'm making 2 pounds. Now my lye is dissolved and my sugar's dissolved, so I'm just gonna very slowly pour this over my lye and over my oils, and it will continue to melt. I'm gonna go rinse this out right away. I like to thoroughly rinse those right away because I don't want somebody touching it. So I'm just gonna start to break this down. The lye is very hot, so it's gonna start to melt the oils. So you don't even need to melt your lard. Okay, that's good enough. We'll get the rest of it with the immersion blender. The fragrance I'm gonna use is Energy. And I'm going to measure 1 ounce of Energy here. Keep in mind, you don't have to add any fragrance to your soap right now if you don't want to. It will still be great soap and it just won't have any smell. It'll just smell like soap. It smells so good. I am even tempted to add more, but if you go to Brambleberry, they will have like a percentage that you can add to soap. And I know from using Energy for many years, this fragrance, that I could add more, but we're just gonna leave it like that. So it's all this, the lard is soft, the sugar's in, all of our ingredients are inside of the bowl. So I'm just gonna take my immersion blender. I have a cheap old immersion blender here that barely works anymore, but it does the job. And I'm just gonna start to emulsify it. Hang in there, hang in there. I have a better one, but it's the one I use for my food and I don't want to mix them. it is mixed. It is okay, this is thoroughly mixed. It is not at trace. It's still very liquidy, but it is fine. We can still pour it like that. I'm gonna set this aside. Oh yeah, the view over there. And then being not liquidy, I'm still gonna pour it. It doesn't have to be to trace. Just mix it so that it's all blended together. As long as you know everything's all blended together, you're good to go. And look at that, it fit in there perfectly. And there you have it. Now we're just gonna let it sit. So I'm just gonna find a place to put it where it's just gonna sit undisturbed out of the breeze. We don't want a breeze blowing on it. And you can see it's pretty liquidy. You could actually just let it sit here and it will start to come to trace. It will kind of stiffen and get thicker, but this is good. See how easy that was? You measure your lye, you measure your water, you measure your sugar, you have your water, and you always add your lye to your water. Always add your lye to your water. And then you put your oils in your bowl, and then when your lye is dissolved, you add your dissolved lye water that's still hot to your oils. And as long as you don't have like not coconut oil, cocoa butter or a really hard oil in there, it will the hot lye will help soften your oils so that you can just make sure it's all mixed very good, and then just pour it into your mold. So we'll come back for a cutting of this. To clean my bowls, I actually don't wash them because you don't want to put any of this down your drain. It's actually not soap yet, and it will plug up your drain. And I removed my glove and I don't have another one, but I'm gonna be really careful not to touch this with my skin because it is not cured and it still is stingy. It's not soap yet. It's gotta go through the saponification process. So I just wipe them all out like that, real good. That's done. This is done. So all this is cleaned up, super easy, no soap, no water. You just wipe it with paper towel and throw the paper towel away. And how I clean my immersion blender is I get really hot water and I just put it in there, unplug it before you dry it off. That's clean. And I do not put this down the drain. I go and I throw it in my yard because this it's still oil, so you don't want to put oil down your drain. I put the soap over here on the counter out of the way, and in about 5 minutes, like, look, it's like already not liquid anymore. It's not so liquidy. See, it's kind of, it's getting harder. I'm just gonna leave it over here. Nobody in my house will touch it. They all know not to touch it, so I'll just leave it over there.
What's up?
It's been 24 hours since I made the soap. It is hard. So I'm gonna take it out of here, and you can see with this press and seal, I'm just gonna flip it over. Gonna try and wiggle it out. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's the sugar that I let, that didn't completely dissolve, but that's okay. It'll just kind of be like a sugar scrub. And I'm gonna take this off and flip it back over. So it's hard, see, it's hard, but it's still soft enough if I really pushed on it that it would dent it. So this is when you wanna cut your soap, because if you wait too long, it will be too hard to cut. So you could take a knife and slice it. You could take a ruler and measure off Like this is 11 inches, so you could measure off 1-inch bars just and cut it. And but what I'm gonna do is I have my cutter that I made, and I have a video on how to make this cutter. So I'm gonna use my cutter to do it. I'm gonna put it on my little slab here. And this is my cutter. There is a video on how to make this. And I'm gonna position it so that, can you see that pretty good?
Let me see.
I have little tiny piece on each end. And I'm just gonna push it down. Wait a second. I need to push it towards one end of this board. There we go. Okay. All right, there we go. I'm gonna push it, kind of rocking back and forth motion. And there we go. And then I have my bars. Ta-da! Nice white bars. Ta-da! Oh, this, yes. Pretty. Pretty. Just a nice, simple, clean soap. The smell is really fresh and clean. I like that soap energy. I had this little slab left over. Put this aside. Then I have one of these baking pans, a cookie sheet, and I'm just gonna set it on here like this, apart from each other. And I'm gonna set it on a shelf for 30 days to finish curing. And what's gonna happen in those 30 days is a lot of the water is gonna evaporate out of the soap. It's gonna become hard. The pH is gonna neutralize, and we'll come back in 30 days and I will show you, we'll use it, we'll see how it lathers up and everything. But 24 hours later, I can cut it. It's nice, it's soft enough to cut and hold its own shape. And it smells really wonderful. So I'll see you in 30 days. So that was it. Didn't it look easy? It was easy to make. I really encourage you to give it a try. I know you're interested in making cold processed soap. That's why you took time to watch my video. It's been 3 days. This is hard. It's hard. I can squeeze it. It doesn't leave any dents in the soap, but that doesn't mean it's ready to use. It still has to neutralize the pH in it, or it will be kind of too harsh on your skin. I will put links below if you're like, I don't know what to buy or where to buy it. I will link below all the ingredients and all the equipment on Amazon, or go buy it yourself. Go to the grocery store, buy some lard, buy some sodium hydroxide from your hardware store. Water is free, and you really don't need any fragrance at all, but you do need a scale because measurements are all in weight. So you do need to buy a scale. God bless you guys. I'll see you in 30 days where I will use this soap and we'll see the lather and see how it feels on our skin. Bye.